So hello and welcome to the Champ.ie podcast. It's a new voice in charge tonight. Barry Doyle's away, so it's myself, Ronan Groome, taking over the hot seat here. But I'm all right. I'm with two good men, Thomas Coyle from Barterstown, County Meath, up-and-coming trainer. How are you going, Thomas?
Hi, Ronan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm ready to roll. And ABW, Andrew Blair-White. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Ronan. Cheers.
Yeah, good racing to look forward to this weekend, lads. So we're just gonna crack straight on into it, and we'll have a go at the Clarence House Chase. I'll just run you through the betting quickly. The best odds we've got: odds on Defi de Sol for the rematch with On the Soul, 8 to 11, 13 to 8. You can get about On the Soul. I think he's a general 6 to 4 shot. 10 to 1 your Janica. And then you're looking at Cape Blanc 25s, and the rag of the field Maracuja is 80 to 1. Let's go to you first, Thomas. I suppose it's a rematch, is it? Who would you kind of side with here?
Yeah, look, as you said, it's probably a two-horse race, as you said. I just thought the last day Defi de Sol was just doing enough. I think he probably still has a bit in hand, although ratings wouldn't say that. But just on the last day when he kind of idled a little bit, I know On the Soul rallied. If to take into account as well, this race is actually a furlong. It's going to be a furlong longer because if you take yardage into the last time, it actually wasn't 2 mile the last day. It was 120 yards short, but we're 120 yards over, so it's actually an extra furlong, and I think it'll suit Defi de Sol a little bit better. And I can see him withholding the form. Although on a personal note, I'd love to see On the Soul getting another big one, but I'll go with Defi de Sol in this.
Okay, Defi de Sol for you, Thomas. What about you, Andrew? Do you think the odds are just about right, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'd say the odds are right. I'd say Defi de Sol is worthy of being just a shade of odds on. I must say at the prices though, and especially with the ground the way it is, I think it would be worth a chance on On the Soul. As I say, it seems to be quite heavy over there, and that's where he relishes his conditions. 2 miles on heavy ground is really what he wants. And he ran a good race in the Tingle Creek. I think it might become a bit of a tactical affair. I'd say On the Soul might get a solo out in front. It'd be interesting to see whether he tries to really kind of push Defi de Sol hard, or whether he tries to kind of stack it up and almost let Defi de Sol go on past him to rally, because that seems to be the way to get Defi de Sol beat. If you look at the Dipper form with Lost in Translation last year, and then he almost got chinned at Sandown, where he gets to the front too soon. So it could be a bit of a game of cat and mouse between the two of them. But I think at the prices and considering the ground, I think a chance should be given to On the Soul at around 13 to 8.
Yeah, I think you made a good point there, Andrew. This is a pure game of cat and mouse, isn't it? He goes off in front On the Soul, and then Garrity's just got to time his run. I think he's just got like one run, hasn't he? And once he goes by you, he's not necessarily going to fight back if you get past him, which I guess Townend would be hoping to do. Who do you take, Thomas, in a battle of wits, Garrity or Townend?
Yeah, well, just on a personal note from riding, it's always nice to have something to aim at. I always thought, and with it being a small field, he's gonna have his eyes well peeled on the Soul. Barry's gonna know exactly what he's made of, and it's just sometimes it's nice to have that one in front of you to aim at, and I think it probably will help Defi de Sol. As you've seen, he does. I definitely agree with you. He's got that one run, but I can imagine Barry stalking and coming to the last, trying to go from there. So just on a personal note, I always thought it was easier to get a lead into a race. So I think it'll suit kind of Defi on that front.
Lovely stuff. Let's crack on. We go over to Haydock, where we got the new one, Unibet Hurdle, a champion hurdle trial, this grade 2, just short of 2 miles. And running through a few of the principles, we got Pentland Hills hoping to get back on track after his run in the international hurdle. He's 5 to 4 favourite. We got Durasso 7 to 2, 4 to 1 your pair, Call Me Lord, Cornerstone Lad, Ballyandy in there at 9 to 2, and it's 14 to 1 bar. A load of horses I've genuinely never heard of. Let's go to you first, Andrew. What do you reckon? Are you a Pentland Hills fan?
No, I'm not. I must say, I see where people are coming from with his Cheltenham run in terms of he'll come on plenty for it, but I thought it was still a very concerning run. It wasn't a good race. This isn't a very good race either, to be honest. Kind of sums up where the champion hurdle picture is. I suppose that this is being considered as a trial. I'd be probably keen to take a chance maybe on Joseph's Durasso. I see he's already jocked up, so I think the plan is to run. His form at the end of last year, beating Forge Meadow in a hurdle race, and then he beat Cadmium a couple of weeks before. Cadmium, I think, went on to win the Topham at Aintree. So it's decent enough form, and he seems to enjoy soft ground, whereas I don't think that would be potentially what Pentland Hills really wants. I don't think Pentland Hills wants kind of a soft ground battle, and I think that's what Durasso might well give him. So again, at the prices, considering I don't think you can take the Cornerstone Lad form at face value really, and I'd be hoping that a horse like Ballyandy couldn't win a race like this. So my preference would be for Joseph's Durasso.
Yeah, he's a dark one, Durasso, isn't he? I can see what they're thinking with him. I think if you have any sort of half decent horse, you're going to have a crack at the champion hurdler. See if he's going to be good enough to run on it. What do you reckon, Thomas? Like that, Durasso?
Yeah, it was just I nearly thought he was going to go chasing after winning the last time. I like Pentland Hills, to be honest. He was very keen early in that race in Cheltenham the last day, and he's still turning in. He nearly looked the winner. I know jumping the last, he faded from the back of it, but I can imagine he's going to improve a lot. He gets £3 off these for being a 5-year-old this early in the season as well, which is going to help. Yeah, but I can see Durasso, yeah, and I agree with Andrew. I definitely wouldn't take that Cornerstone Lad form into account. I'd say he'll be doing well, but I think Pentland Hills, I think he could win this well, and he could nearly put a stamp on someone finally putting a stamp on that champion hurdle market. If he could do this well.
Yeah, he probably goes favourite. You think if he wins?
I'd imagine so. The way the racing, well, especially the way Ireland's racing has been going. I suppose Sharjah is nearly the leading light here at this stage, but I don't think I could see him as a favourite for a champion hurdle now.
Honeysuckle, Thomas. Honeysuckle,
yeah,
keep the faith.
Maybe.
when they come about, when she hacks up at Leopardstown and Dublin Racing Festival, I think she's going to be 6-4 for the champion hurdle, and that's all she wrote. They won't see which way she went when they get.
If Barry wasn't getting his hair cut tonight, he'd probably have something to say about that.
Yeah, good. Yeah, yeah, he likes it. He's on it. He's back there. He follows the So yeah, that's it. Right. Well, let's crack on. Let's do the Pierre Marsh next, lads. Absolutely wide open. They've gone 5-1, between 5-1 and 10-1 for 9 of the field. So Acting Lass is a favourite, but then you got Champers on Ice, definitely red. Geronimo, Midnight Tune, Prime Venture, all around 6-1. What do you reckon, Andrew? Do you have one here? It looks wide open. It's only a 10-runner field, but a real wide open betting heat.
Yeah, I think it's a very tricky race. Obviously, the betting would indicate that with the close proximity between so many different horses. But I thought probably Geronimo was the one I landed on. I think he's around the 6-7-1 stage at the moment. He won last time out on his seasonal reappearance at Newcastle over 2-4. He was raised £5 for that, but he won that quite nicely. He won it by 2.5 lengths. He's got some good form over staying trips from last year. He ended up pulling up in the Scottish National, but he won some nice staying prizes up at the Northern Tracks. And mostly what I took into account is that Sandy Thompson's on fire at the moment, banging in winners with Ryan Mania, who's only recently returned to the saddle. Every time I seem to flick on Sky Sports Racing, he's riding another winner for Sandy Thompson. So the team are in very good form. This horse I saw earlier today, there was a bit of market support for him. I think he was 10s initially. He's now gone into 7s. And I can see him running well off only £5 higher than last time out.
Yeah, good show. I didn't. Yeah, Ryan Mania. I haven't seen him. He's just come back recently, has he?
Yeah, he kind of took it back up in around September, October time. I think it took a while for him to get a first winner back, but I think I saw the other day he won a race round Sedgefield or something like that. And in the interview afterwards, he was saying I think it was his 6th winner in the last couple of weeks or something. So it was he's beginning to he's obviously a good rider. He won the Grand National.
Yeah, I was going to say Grand National winning rider. I was trying to think that he ride Aurora Soncor, but yeah.
Yeah, so he's obviously he is a very good rider, and him and Sandy Thompson seem to be working together well. I think I'm not sure. I think I read somewhere that he might be the assistant trainer, certainly helping out with Sandy Thompson, and he's now riding the horses as well. So it's kind of working twofold for him.
There you go. Good knowledge. Good knowledge. Thomas, what do you reckon? I think this is the race that Bristol de Mai first kind of had his love affair for Haydock back in 2017. You really need to stay well, I suppose, over this just short of 3 miles to a Haydock. Have you spotted anything here?
Yeah, look, I take a chance with the pipe horse. He's come back from in November, and he's like a new horse again. His form tailed off for the later part of last year, and he's put up good performances. Even being bet the last day in Cheltenham, he put up a good performance. He was only beaten about a length. The one worry is he probably hasn't got that much chase experience, but it's nice. It's only going to be a small field. And he looks fairly uncomplicated. If they ride him the way he's been ridden his last couple of hurdle runs, he bounces away, and he's jumping his hurdles well enough. But I think, and he's got a grand weight with 10.9 in his back with that soft ground. Seems to stay well. He might be worth. I think he's about 8 or 10 to 1. He could be good value at that if he can transform his form from hurdles back to chasing. So he could be a lively outsider in this.
Very good. So that's Champers and Ice for Thomas. Sorry, we'll quick kick on, lads, to the Supreme Novice Hurdle Trial there at 2:05. So you're looking at Edward Stone topping the market here, around 15 to 8 for Alan King. I think Marie's Rock is going to run. She's in there anyway at 7 to 2. Then you have the Banner King Rebel, who's jocked up as well for Jamie Snowden with Gavin Sheehan. And then you've Ribble Valley, who also had an entry later on in that the new one hurdle. So you imagine he might run here. Andrew, what do you like here?
I do like the form of Edward Stone in terms of I'm a good fan of Fiddler on the Roof, and I quite like Harry Senior as well, but I'm just struggling to take to him in this race. I must say, I thought a lot's being made of it being between Edward Stone and Marie's Rock, but I thought the Banner King Rebel was being overlooked in this race. He's 3 from 4 over hurdles. Should have been 4 from 4. He tipped up at the last at Wetherby one day when he was a couple of lengths clear. He beat a few nice horses last time out in a listed race at over course and distance. Calva Dog and Glory and Fortune were behind him that day. And I thought after that race, Jamie Snowden, I think, was planning to bring him over to Ireland to run in the 2 mile novice hurdle over Christmas time, but it didn't eventually end up happening. I see he's been entered up in the Dublin Racing Festival 2 mile novice hurdle as well. So they've obviously contemplated the idea of bringing him over and running him in Grade 1 contests, which means he's obviously being held in pretty high regard. I don't think the ground will be to Marie's Rock's favour. And also, I know people are getting a bit jumpy about her, but she hasn't beaten anything of any note yet. This would be her first actual test. You can go around some of those smaller field English mares novice races running against trees and look quite impressive. But she'd have it work cut out here because Edward Stone brings a solid level of form. And this Banner King Rebel is quite unexposed, I think. So I'd be siding with him at around, I think, 4 to 1.
Yeah, she's not going to really receive much of a mare's allowance off a lot of them as well, because she's won a few races already, Marie's Rock. And just on the note you made there about the Banner King Rebel and being entered in the Dublin Racing Festival, there's shortage of British entries posted for Leopardstown in the Grade 1 races that have released so far. I don't know, lads. Do you think a lot has been made of this? I can kind of see why you wouldn't come over for the race is so good. Why would you send the horse over? What do you reckon, Thomas?
Yeah, I don't see why they'd want to take us on in home soil when they struggle at times when we go to Cheltenham. Plus, it takes a bit out of a horse having to come, and it's getting closer to Cheltenham as well. Things like that, especially when you have to travel. Like usually you'd be gone maybe a day or two before. Like it is a bit of a rigmarole, and horses get out of systems, and horses when they're not in their own stable are a bit funny, and they might eat and things like that. Just on the Banner King Rebel, he's a horse I followed from the very start because a friend of mine actually had a share in him. He ran in the Jamie Snowden Racing Club, so he actually won first time out, and the boys were mad keen on him. He actually has an entry in the Champion Hurdle.
The Banner King Rebel.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're willing to put that much money on an entry for that, he's obviously held in very high regard.
How much is it? How much is it enter in the Champion Hurdle, Thomas? Do you know?
I just haven't got one of that quality yet. I haven't had to look it up.
No, it's a fair chunk though. I think it
has to be. Yeah, it has to be. It's not like it's. I'm not sure if it's the same, but it's usually raced in Ireland are usually graded race are a bit bigger, but it's usually 1% to 2% of the total prize money is how the entry comes over here. But I'm not sure on grade ones now. But just on the Banner King Rebel, he was very impressive, and then he was second, like in the entry bumper, and he horses like Santa Rosa that Dermot McLaughlin holds in very high regard.
Yeah,
I think they were fancying that last weekend to give Black Bow something to think about. Well, I know Black Bow didn't win in the end, but there was word for her. So as he said, he probably would have been 4 from 4. He didn't even fall. He slipped out the back of a hurdle one day. But yeah, it's interesting with all them big entries. And I do agree with Andrew that Edwardstone has the form with the Fiddler on the Roof. That's the one piece of form that sticks out in the whole race for me. But I would definitely be interested in the Banner King Rebel. Just with them, look, if you're going putting money like that, they paid Loughley for him as well. The boys sold him after he won his first bumper, and they got a right few quid out of it. So he's a horse that's cost him a few quid, and if they're going throwing around entry money like that, there's obviously something behind the madness,
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Whatever happens is going to be interesting to see how he gets on. Lads, we'll just do quickly. Earlier on, we have this Grade 2 Novices Chase, not priced up yet, but a couple of nice types in here, the likes of Mr. Fisher, I think is going to run. Nico's been jocked up there. Sam Brown, who I saw won, I think it was Suddle there last week. Just absolutely jumped for fun, coming off a huge break. And Andrew, I suppose I'll give you the floor with your beloved Windsor Avenue. Can he bounce back? The bomb of all time last time, but maybe there was an excuse there, was there?
Well, I looked into it, and the trainer said, Brian Nelson said that he scoped dirty afterwards. So I don't think that was his full running.
It couldn't have been, could it? Yeah, it was.
It couldn't have been, because he'd put in 2 really, really good chasing efforts to start off this season, and then he just put in an absolute shocker. He looked on the day like he just didn't stay a yard over 2.5, though he kind of was travelling all over Sam Spinner turning in, and then kind of just blew up completely. Now, there could be any amount of reasons for that, but I think I'd certainly give him another chance here. I hold the horse in very high regard, as does the trainer and jockey. I think they were onto something really good here. And the way he jumps is really what I love most about him. He's just superb to jump. And Mr. Fisher's form from the last day at Cheltenham is quite good, but he's never been a horse I've been able to warm to, I must say. I just don't think he's quite as good as some people want him to be. And I'd be interested in Windsor Avenue, or even, as you were saying with Sam Brown, something more unexposed, taking on Mr. Fisher here and potentially going and beating him. But I'd certainly give Windsor Avenue a big chance here.
I had a feeling you might. Anything for you, Thomas, there?
I'd take him on as well, and I'd take another chance with the Venetia Williams horse, the Fanion Desterval. He was very impressive the first day in Newbury, and the last day he ran in it was Kempton. He didn't jump well. He made 3 or 4 mistakes, and he was only betting maybe 5 lengths, but he was staying on again. And I think the step up and trip might just eke out another bit of improvement. He's fairly high on ratings. I think he's nearly the highest rated in this. And I think Venetia Williams and Heavy Ground, her horses, do seem to revel in it. He had great form in France. So maybe if he came back to his newbie run, he actually might give them all something to think about. It's hard to know when you don't see prices as well. Gauging, but he'll probably run, because I see Charlie Deutsch is down as well. So he could be very interesting again. I'd put nearly a line through. He made 2 or 3 awful blunders. One I think was at the second or third, and he kind of on the back foot over 2 mile doing things like that. So this might help him the up and trip.
All right, we will move back to the Emerald Isle, lads. We've got a couple of interesting races, one at Navan and a couple at Thurles on Sunday. We'll do one at each. The Navan race is a 2.5 mile handicap hurdle. Obviously, no prices or anything like that, but it's an interesting race, and most of them I think will end up turning up here. We've got the likes of Alpha Mix in there, who's done us a good turn already this season. Tatsy, you got your old Golden Jewel in there, Thomas, as well. Anything catch your eye here from the entries?
Just on the Golden Jewel front, it's more than likely he'll run. Once Heavy's not in it, we were just talking after we'd done a piece of work with him today, and once Heavy's not in it, he'll run. It was either this or go to the Dublin Racing Festival, but I'd say Dublin Racing Festival could be very good ground again, because we've no rain forecast for the next 10 days. So the Dublin Racing Festival, I think, is a 2 mile. This 2.5 mile might suit him if it could dry up for a bit. I rode him this morning actually myself, and the horse is in great form. Couldn't be happier. He's got a grand weight. He does have a bit to find with Alpha Mix. We're trying, hopefully, getting Philip Enright to ride. Philip's riding out with Skin. I think it was said yesterday he's ridden the most winners he has in the season yet, and we're only just over halfway through it. So he's a man in form.
30 winners,
yeah, and he's a great rider. He rides plenty for Eddie. I think we're £7 better off, but I think we're 15 lengths. But I think we got our riding tactics a little bit wrong that day. So if he turns up, we're expecting a big run, and it could lead, if we could get our head in front in a big handicap like this. We have Cheltenham in the back of our mind, so hopefully it might go right.
Fabulous insight there.
Yes.
Rode the horse yourself this morning.
I did.
What other podcast provided this information? Absolutely fantastic.
When he has to lump me up the gallop, he's going well, I tell you.
Well, wait till I come down there, Thomas. Andrew, what about you? Anything in here that catch your eye, or something that could be well handicapped? Or
I thought, I don't know whether he'll end up running. I see Gordon's got a fair few in this, but if he does take his chance, the Boss's Oscar in here off 132, I think could be very well in. It was only a half length behind Blue Surrey in a maiden hurdle before winning a maiden hurdle at Leopardstown over Christmas. Beat Fun Light of Joseph's and John Snow, who came over to Willys with a fairly tall reputation. Now, he hasn't done that. He hasn't lived up to that quite, but he won it well that day. He seemed to relish 2.5, and I think he'd have a very good chance here if Gordon decides to run him off 132.
Right, yeah. Couple of inches, yeah. Him and Tatsy are quite interesting, I guess, to unexposed. I don't know, there's a cynical side of me.
Tatsy was behind Gold Jewel the last day, wasn't
he? Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough, Thomas. Yeah, okay. I was just going to say, as the cynical side of me thinks that maybe a couple of these might just be not. I'm not saying anything untoward, but the trainers might have Cheltenham in the back of their minds, and they're marked. The likes of Alpha Mix, they've seen he's on 140 from entering him in the Lanzarote, and now they're kind of thinking, I don't know, maybe that's the cynical side of me. But I'm looking at Dolciano Dici myself. I think he ran a really nice race in that Alpha Mix race the last day over the course and distance. That was his first run of the season. for Willie Mullins. This horse, he's bombed a few times last year over fences. He was another one that came. He came at the same time as Acapella Bourgeois from Sandra Hughes, but it didn't really work out for him. And ran by far his best race yet, a career best effort, probably first time up there at Navan behind Alpha Mix and Drumaku and Top Moon, like three really well handicapped horses. So I think he could go all right if he's entered here. Lads, we move on to Thurles, and we've got probably a really, really good running at this Horse and Jockey Hotel. You have the likes of Min and Footpad in there, and Willie's basically got a fair stranglehold here, so you're going to imagine he's not going to run all of them. 2A per me is in there as well, won the race last year. And then you have a few interesting ones, the likes of Kitten Rock, we haven't seen in a while. And my favourite horse, Real Steel. What do you
The
reckon,
dream.
Thomas? Anything here for you?
Yeah, as you said, it's you could imagine whatever Willie runs, and I'm not one to tell or not one to think what Willie's going to run here. It's obviously Min, if he does run, would be hard beat. You could imagine. He might like Footpad ran at Christmas. Min hasn't run since the start of things, so this could be a run for him before Cheltenham, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. As you said, whatever he runs, he should nearly win. You'd imagine either Footpad or Min would have the lead in hopes in this. As you said, they're not going to take each other on, so it'll break up as we're looking. There's 11 entries. I'd imagine to be doing well to be 5 runners in this race probably.
I agree. I think if I'm guessing, and this is a guess, I think Min won't run. Will run in the Dublin Chase because he's won that
Yeah,
last
probably.
2 years. I think Footpad is probably more likely to run because he won at Thurles earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So maybe they go with him.
Yeah, and the ground isn't too bad down there either. It's yielding, and as I said, I think we have a dry forecast, and Thurles is a funny place. It can get kind of whatever soil is under it can get fairly good fairly quick. So
Right.
wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of good ground maybe there Sunday. So it could take some of them better horses away from it.
Yeah, just on Real Steel, I know, oh God, slagging on obviously, I've probably gone too far here with this, but I just want to see, give him a chance up and trip. He's giving him a Gold Cup entry, so why isn't he just, let's try him over 3 miles, see how he goes. He's back over 2.5 here. He's probably running out of time for if they're gonna see if he's.
You could imagine though if the top 2 go out like Min and Thing, he could actually be favourite for this on his run against.
I think he would be. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, on his run the last day. Sure, he wasn't beaten that far in the John Durkin, so like it could be a grand race for him.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, well, and what do you reckon, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm really not sure what Willie will run in here because I get exactly what you're saying about Min. The only kind of fly in the ointment for that is that they keep saying that Dublin Chase is where Chacun Poursois is going to run. And I don't think, though, certainly him and Min aren't going to run against each other. So they will have to find a race for Min or a race for Chacun Poursois somewhere other in the calendar. I don't think Footpad will run here based on what Patrick Mullins said. He had a very hard race in the King George. So I suspect it could have taken a bit of time to get over that. I do think Mullins obviously does hold the aces, but certainly if the ground is getting better, which it does look like it is, one can't skip over Kaiser Black. He's got some very good form in the book on good ground. He won 2 nationals in the summer of 2018. He won the Mayo National and the Connacht National, and then reappeared at the Dublin Racing Festival last year, which was obviously rattling quick ground. It was a close second to La Bagois, and then beat Camellia Descottes at Naas. And Camellia Descottes, I think, was going into that race having won 4 or 5 on the bounce. So he's rated 155. He still has a fair bit to find with, obviously if the likes of a Min was to rock up. But as ground might take a few of the principles away, I think he will run if it's good ground, and he'd have a very good chance.
Yeah, Kaiser Black, that'd be a good one for Pat Doyle. And quick shout there on just for the grade 2. I'll give you one here. I really like this Ellie May for Willie Mullins. Again, this is a Mullins kind of dominated event. He's got Cut the Mustard and Salsaretta, who Barry Doyle is a big fan of as well. But I think this Ellie May could be the next big kind of chasing mare for Mullins. Done really well so far. The same sort of form line as Salsaretta, having bet Augusta Gold, and he started her off in a grade 3 down at Cork. That was the race poor Sonoria came to grief in. But I think this Ellie May looks all right. But look, listen, lads, that's it. Over the whole weekend, maybe the horse you're looking forward to most, or your best bet even. We'll go to you first, Andrew. What's the highlight for you?
Well, the highlight for me will be seeing Windsor Avenue get back on the Cheltenham Trail.
Yes.
And my best bet at the prices would be Magic of Light at 5-2 in the Mayor's Hurdle at Ascot on Saturday. I think she won the race last year. Can't understand how she's not favourite. She'll be there to win the race, because obviously her winning over hurdles won't affect her chase mark. Can't see what beats her.
Is she 5-2?
Yeah.
What's favourite? That Papagana thing, is it?
Yeah, Oliver Sherwood's horse. They got absolutely whooped last time. It's 7-4.
It seems like a big price. Having not looked at the race, it seems quite big. Yeah, that's interesting. What about you, Thomas? What are you looking forward to? Or what kind of betting opportunity are you hoping for?
I've picked out one. As last week I picked out At the Acorn. I told you he'd win. But I have one more for Navan Punitive in the 2.5 mile handicap hurdle, the race after the graded hurdle. It's a week affair. He won in Limerick, and he was a single digit figure to win in Leopardstown over Christmas, and he unseated Ryder. This is not half the race it was in Leopardstown. So I think Henry has a couple in it, but I think if he pops up there, he'll win.
What you call it again?
Punitive. Punitive.
Punitive. Yeah. Right, yeah, okay. Following on from At the Acorn, and we have another sneaky one from Thomas Coyle. Very good. For me, I like Dolciano Dici, as I just mentioned, in the big 2.5 mile grade B handicap at Navan, and I do like that Ellie May on Thurles if she's allowed to take her chance. You never know with Willie. Obviously, loads of entries at Thurles, and only half of them will actually run, if even so. But if Ellie May turns up there in the JP McManus colours, I think she'll go really well. But that's all from us, folks, from the Champ.ie podcast. A nice tight one this week. Well, I hope it was anyway. Thanks, Thomas, and thanks, Andrew. Cheers, lads.
Cheers, Ronan.